What's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of JMB Tuning. Today we have a big job here going on. We'll be doing the timing belt for the Acura MDX 2018, which is pretty much similar to a lot of the 3.5 V6 engines that the Acuras and the Hondas have. So very similar way of doing the belt. So anyways, guys, we will get started here. Stay tuned. Here's the tools and parts that we need, guys, basically for this job. We got obviously our parts here. We got our belt and our tensioner with the pin, and we'll be installing that right after the installation of the whole belt. And we have a 3/8 set here, and I have a 1/2 inch set as well with a 10 mil and a 14, and I have a 17 and a 14 here. I think those are the sizes that we need. And also, most important part is our pulley, crank pulley remover, a high mass 19 millimeter socket there. And you see how thick this baby is and how heavy it is. That mass will create an inertia to actually open or crack that crankshaft. A pulley bolt there, and at the same time we will need this to remove the serpentine belt, and so we will be using that there to reach in. And we have, of course, impact wrenches just in case we need them, as well as a few of these clips here to hold the belt later on when we place them in, and a marker, that is, to mark the pulleys. Make sure we put them back the proper way. Well, first order of business, we'll be removing our top cover here for the engine, and just to get us access. So anyways, guys, from here, basically, I'll be showing you the whole 9 yards, but I'm just gonna run down what we need to do. Basically, we need to get this computer module out, and there's a removal process on this. Also, our engine mounts needs to come out. As well, let go of I think we don't need to do that to be able to get the cover here. We might have to loosen the alternator cable harness here, and so we won't be doing the water pump in the process because it's not really needed to do so unless there's an issue with it, but we'll be inspecting it for sure. Well, now that we have our wheels off now, guys, basically here on the passenger side front, we will be removing this dash shield here to get it away, so we can get at the pulley there. Well, just to show you guys how we remove this fender liner here, there's two, again, clips that we need to pop out, one of this type, and you just need a little pick and pick out the middle piece first, and then that will pop out. And then we have another one over here that we need to do. That's fairly covered with oil, because it's fairly close to where the oil filter is when we do oil change. And then we have a screw that we need to remove over here, which is basically one of these metal screws here. Let me show you. Here you go. Well, time to remove the computer here, guys. So basically there's 3 bolts that we need to remove here. We got one here, and one here. So there's 3 bolts at 10 mil. So we'll be doing that. Point out that before I took out the last bolt, I pried all the plastic cover so that way we can easily undo the whole plastic thing, because it's a lot easier to get at that thing before we take the whole unit out. There we go. Now we're on to removing the harness part of the computer module here. So now that we have it loosened up, So I was kind of blocking a view when I was doing this, guys, so I just want to repeat it one more time. So as you guys can see, this locking mechanism here, once it's seated in, I don't know if I can put it back here without, I think we need to hook the whole thing up. So the way this thing goes in, basically locks in like this. So once you put it in, you can pretty much, it frees up the lock to actually lock the whole thing. So once it's locked like that, all you need to do is you have to pull this lock down here. As you're pulling it down, as you guys can see, it basically flexes. Once you pull that down, you should be able to then pull this whole thing out. See, as this one pops out, you just have to pop it out all the way in, push it all the way in there, and then once it's all the way back, you can then pull the whole thing out. So that's basically how that is. And obviously this one's easy because you just have to pull this in and use one of these tools here in the bottom and just, you know, help it out a little bit and push it up, and that will pop out. So the rest of this connections here are similar to this. So you basically same process. Well guys, time to remove the motor mount here. Basically we need a 17 here, 2 14s and a 10 to get this ground there basically. So that will be the case, and then once that's freed up, then we can actually get at the belts, our serpentine belts, and then once that's done, then we can work off getting all our covers out there. Now we're working on the covers now, the rear cover and the front cover, and also the bottom one there. It's a little tricky because the bolts are all over the place, and that's going to be hard for me to show you. What I'll be doing is I'll be showing you a diagram on where the bolts are, so that way you guys can know exactly where those bolts are in the process. But I'll be basically reaching out from the top here and also from the bottom to get those bolts out. Looks like we have to pop this baby out to get some room here a little bit, and as well to get at that bolt here, we need to you know loosen this up a little bit on the out of the way, so we can get at the one of the bolt behind the wire here for the cover. So anyways, time to remove the serpentine belt. Basically that bolt right there is what we will be cranking to loosen the belt. So let's see here, let me put it in. Go. And then we could easily pop it out, making sure we don't we remember the orientation thereafter. Take it down from the bottom. Here's our belt, guys. Just got it down. Go, just set it aside for now. Check it for any cracks, and if you need to replace it, I guess, in the process. All right, guys, we got our first cover out. Working with one hand here, guys. There we go. I'll show you guys, this is the bolts, where the bolts are basically on this. We got one here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one in the center right there. I'll put a mark here, guys, as well. I'll mark it F so we don't forget. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our rear cover is pretty much out now. See if I can show you guys exactly where it's right there now. So there is a bunch of wires. There's a bunch of wires that we need to remove that was wrapped around it, just to peel it out of the position there, and then pull this whole thing out. Again, similarly, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts. Hard to show you guys exactly because I'm by myself here. I don't have anybody to hold the camera for me. but I'll be removing the rest of the motor mount off the engine here. Basically, there's one bolt here and there's another bolt in the bottom. So get this off, and then we can work off the rest of the cover, the lower part of the cover. Well, guys, I pretty much loosened the motor mount now. There's loose now. There's 3 bolts in there, basically. So it's loose now. We just got to work on the bottom now. Get the crankshaft off, the pulley, and then work on the covers, and then we should be able to get everything out from here, including this, the rest of the motor mount. Well, time to get our big gun and get this pulley out. Let's see how this does. Easy there, easy, that's for sure. Didn't take that long to get this baby out. Oops. Now we got our bolt. Now we should be able to get our pulley. Just gonna wiggle it out. The process should come out here pretty soon. All right, we got it. Now, as you can see here, guys, we got our pins there. Basically, we'll get our bolts out for the cover and get the cover out. We should be able to get all the rest of the stuff underneath. Well, guys, now that we have the cover, the lower cover all loosened up there, I'm able to pull this whole mount out, so that way we can work on some of the bolts down there for the rest of the cover. I have one more to get at. Show you the rest of the mount. It has 3 bolts. Basically, it's holding it. One over here, here, and here. And once you get that off, the cover, part of the cover, if you didn't loosen it up, you know, the part of the cover sits here. Well, guys, a little tricky here. Now that we took out the serpentine belt, the tensioner basically now has fallen down back this way, and didn't realize there's one bolt right here that's holding this whole, the rest of this lower cover. So I have to retract this back again and jam something here in between to be able to get to the bolt there, because I have to pass this bolt down all the way so I can get it from here. So anyways, there's one bolt right here. That's basically what's holding this guy down. I guess, you know, the best way to do it is probably do it before you undo, do this bolt here before you undo the rest of the serpentine belt. That's because then it's free. It's a lot freer to do to work at it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the last bolt on that upper bolt on the lower cover there. So what I've done really is that I basically retracted the tensioner again, the pulley tensioner, and jammed this bar here and pinned it here and here, and now I'm able to actually get at it using a smaller wrench and smaller socket. Yeah, that's going to be a tricky getting it out later on, getting it in as well. So now, as you guys can see, we're pretty much good to go with the, yeah, I'm going to drop it down there to pick it up. So now all the covers are done, so we're pretty much free to work on the belt from here. And here it is. Yeah, so basically the hardest part on this one is trying to get at the last one here, which is basically behind that pulley tensioner there. So you got to retract it back to get access to this bolt right here, or else you can't get it off. Well, now next step here is to take this plate out. As you guys can see, it only goes in one way technically, the way it's concaved. So it has to go, that's the back and that's the front. So that goes in like that right there, and you will never make a mistake there. I just wanted to point out that the sensor here, I took out yeah, I just took it out of the mount just to get at the bolt for the, where is it now? Yeah, so the covers bolt right there, just above it, basically right there. I basically just knocked it out and then able to get at that thing there, because the wire was kind of on the way. But nothing to worry, because you don't have to remove that whole sensor out. You don't have to do that. Get the harness out, and then you'll be able to have more room to get at that one bolt right there, or the tip of my tool. Well, guys, in the front cam, I put a marker right at 1, right there in front of 1. See that number 1 over here, and then just the markers just right below it. That's the top dead center. Basically what we have to do is we have to crank it clockwise, and all the shaft underneath there, we have to crank it and get that marker at the top level. And there's a marker at the top as well. It's hard to show you guys. I have to put the camera down there to show you later on once I get it up to the top. Similarly on the rear shaft, basically, as you can see, there's a marker right there too, and we gotta get it up to the top there. There's a marker, should be around that in the top. Get that pink marker at the top. Similarly here, guys, on the bottom crankshaft, put a marker here. We got to get this arrow here pointed to that top marker right there. Well guys, time to put our crank bolt back in so we can start cranking this to top dead center. Basically is put this back in place. So we already went 2 revolution guys, and as you can see, we're still there. Probably a few more until we can get that one on top, the marker on the top. Well, as you guys can see, guys, we're bang on there now. We went around twice in this side on the bottom shaft, and down here, as you guys can see, you can't see the marker anymore. It's right at the top dead center. As you guys see that marker on the back. Sorry where my finger is. See, there's a marker right there, and that marker, it's like right parallel to each other. Similarly on the other side here. It's hard to see, guys, again, but as you can see, it's right in there. Now see if I can actually get the light shine there a little bit so you guys can see exactly what I mean. There you go. So yeah, it's hard to see the marker, guys, again, but yeah, as you can see there, oh, it's so hard. Okay, there you go. You see that marker in the back there, aligned with that marker, the pink marker that we have. So we're all good from here. Should be able to remove our tensioner now and be able to replace the belt. Okay guys, just for additional safety, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some mark on the belt itself so we can transfer it over to the other side. What I'll do is I'll put a mark on the belt itself and onto the cog here. We're going to transfer it over to the other side. Similarly, on the top here, guys, I left the marker here, and also on the rear. Oops, I left the marker there, so we can start from the rear camshaft, and then we'll work our way from there. Alright folks, time to remove the tensioner. So I'm going to do it from the bottom here. I'll leave the camera down here so you guys can see how that belt will loosen up right after the fact. Just loosening up the bottom first all the way, and then we'll try to loosen up the top from here. There you go, guys. As you can see, the belt just basically came loose. There you go. So here's our tensioner, guys. Basically, this is how it looks like. And as with the 2 bolts. Yeah, Chester, what's wrong, baby? Easiest way to remove the belt from here is start from basically the the inner, the rear camshaft, and then work your way around. So you basically take it up from here and you walk around from up here, and then loosening it up all the way to the other side, and it just comes off easily that way. So I'll give it a try. So as we already loosen up from the bottom here. Again, just work your way from the top inner camshaft. See, it's just coming off nicely, guys. That's how you do it. You don't have to move the sprockets at all. Just have to undo it this way in this order, and it comes out just naturally. Sorry again for the quality of the video. I know I don't have much space to work with here, so. And I'm just gonna pull from the bottom. As you guys can see, everything is off now. We get our marks. We're gonna transfer those marks, put them back in. We should be all good from here. There you go. As this thing comes off by itself, there's the pin there, as you guys can see. Very simple. Here's our belt. All right. Here's the belt, guys. We're gonna check it out and then transfer the marks, and then we should be all good. Folks, here's our brand new belt. As you can see, I've already transferred the mark. One over here, one there, and then there's another one over here, which is basically on the top there to match what I mark on the pulley. And then our starting point on that, that's the old belt here, mirroring the same mark that we have over there and here. And then similarly with this and that. So yeah, we're pretty much ready to go. Put it back in. Okay guys, so returning the belt, basically as we marked the new belt already, we're gonna try and start from this point here, the rear. As you can see with those two dots marked there, we'll start from there, and then we'll work our way towards the top right. And so start from the rear and then go to the front cog and then down to the bottom. So that's how we're gonna put the belt back in. Well guys, the belt is on now. Those markers definitely do help quite a bit. I have clamped them in on both cogs there, both sprockets. Secure it so that way they're in line as I'm working my way down at the bottom there. So it's all placed in there now, as you guys can see here. Now it's ready to put the tensioner in. Well guys, here's our new tensioner here with its pin. So we'll be bolting it in up there now, and then we'll pull the pin out to release it. So we're all good to go. We just have to pull our pin, our grenade pin, and we should be all good to go. Anyways guys, let me do the honors. I'll do it from the top here and see if I can just pull this out, guys. So everything is in place. As you see, there's a lock here. Just have to pull this baby in, and we should be all good to go. Let me do the honors. Yeah, oh, I gotta do it from the bottom. All right, I'll leave it here. I'll leave the camera here. I'll pull the pin, and then you guys will see that our belt will be in place and tightened. There you go. Nice and tight. Well, again, guys, we're pretty much done here. Make sure we don't forget our stuff. We got our clips here. I took the other one out already on this side. Now we have to put this back in place. We gotta put that sensor back in place. And then the computer module here. The covers and the pulley And away we go. And the Serpentine belt, it should be good from there. And just to test it out here, I'm gonna crank it maybe about a couple of revolutions and see if we are still in all same point at top dead center. I'll show you guys when it's done. Well, as you guys saw, that one went full revolution, and we're back to top dead center right there. Similarly on the other side. Where is it? There you go. Sorry guys, it's a little hard to see here, but yeah, we got top dead center on that side. On the front as well. And then on our crank here, we're right on. So we're all good. Now time to put everything back. Guys, similarly to place that last bolt right here, guys. This is get that bolt in there. Okay, just gotta tighten it up. And we'll go. We got our bottom cover in place and also our front cover here. Now we're gonna work on getting the back camshaft cover there. So to mention here, guys, once we put this cover back in on the rear camshaft, make sure that we got that wire, those wires there. You guys can see the wire that we have in the back here. These wires. Make sure that you wrap them around where they were before, clip them in, and then should be good to go. Well guys, all timing chain covers are all in place, guys. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this job in terms of getting those holes to line up with the covers. They are pretty, you know, hard to actually line up in the process. So you just gotta finagle it a little bit and then you can get all the bolts in. But it takes some time to get those things. It's easier said than done. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Just, you know, line it up properly and the bolt should go in properly. But I'll just, again, wiggle it around. Well guys, time to get our computer module in place here. As you guys can see, down there you got 2 bolts and then 1 in the back. Time to torque the engine mount brace there, basically. So it's 33 foot-pound. We'll get at the bottom there as well. There we go, folks. Time to get our motor mount brace to be placed in now. So basically, guys, for an easy here, we'll be sitting like so. Get our 2 bolts in first. Second one. and the third one over here. I'll post all the torque spec, guys, for every single bolt that we have here that we need torquing. For our upper brace here, guys, I basically torqued this to 33 foot-pound as well. I'm not too sure exactly how much we need to tighten this up. I can't figure out the torque spec on them, but I'm gonna tighten them up at 33 foot-pound as well in the process. This is our 17mm bolt. There you go. Let's not forget our wire here, our ground. Making sure we have that on. Nice and snug. Well, time to get our pulley in now, guys. Before I have put in the cover itself, making sure that plate is already orientated in there nicely in the proper orientation. So now we got to get our pulley in like so. Again, just wiggle it around to get it in there. Nice, sitting there, popped in. Get our bolt. Secure it in. Well, folks, time to install a serpentine belt. It's not too bad at this point. It's still pretty good. It didn't really gray out that bad. I didn't see any cracks or whatsoever yet, so we should be good from here. It'll be hard to show it to you guys because it's so tucked in there. So anyways, I'm going to show you when it's done. Serpentine belts are all in place. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot easier to get the serpentine belt in without this brace. So I would recommend removing this to be able to get at the tensioner bolt there, and to loosen that up as much as you can by pulling it in this way, and then get the serpentine belt in place easier that way. So anyways, all done. Again, this concludes our maintenance on this car here. We did inspect the water pump in the process as well. Not an issue there, no issues there, no leaking. So there's no need to actually replace that water pump. A lot of times it's a lot easier to do it now because you're already there. But in my case, I could easily do it in any time I want if needed be. So anyways, guys, I'll be putting everything back in place, just basically the cosmetic things. I just need to get this bolt in place for the bolt for this one here. I need to get that in, cover in place, and the full front cover here. And we're all good to go. I think I forgot to mention, guys, is the cover itself, the timing belt covers, the 3 covers there. You can torque them if you want. I just snugged them in because nothing critical there. They're about as 8.7 foot-pound or 9, around the 9.0 foot-pound. Yeah, I'll just snug them in. That's not that critical. So. Finally, guys, just make sure we got everything, triple check everything, making sure everything is in place. All the bolts are in, torqued in. We'll be basically putting this whole liner in, back in here, and we are all good. Tires, torque the tires, and we're done pretty much.